everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Tiara, aka Bookworm Babe, and Happy New Year, guys. Seriously, Happy New Year. I hope everyone had a really nice holiday and a really nice New Year and was able to stay safe and everything, you know. We're here, we made it to 2021, even though I swear at times it literally felt like we wouldn't make it. But we're here and we made it, so that is a lot in itself to be excited about. So today I'm going to be doing my December wrap-up, my wrap-up to end the year off, and as well just briefly talk about reading goals, my reading goals from last year to my reading goals this year and how that all played out. So I know a lot of us, especially if you're a really avid reader, tend to set yourself, you know, a reading goal for the year. Whether it's 20 books, whether it's like 100 books, I don't know. I've seen people totally do the 100 books and stuff on Goodreads, and I applaud anyone who is able to do the full 100, because that seems very hard to me, honestly. And I don't read super fast either, so kudos to anyone who can do it. But so last year for 2020, my reading goal was 50 books. 2019, I tried to do this exact same thing, and I set the reading goal for myself at 50 books, and in 2019 I failed completely. I only read, I think, 18 or 19 books in 2019. And then last year I really was like, no, like, I'm gonna do it this year. I'm gonna read all 50 books, you know, that I want to read. And I got so close. I got so close, guys. I finished the year off. I finished 2020 off with 47 books. And honestly, I'm really proud of myself anyway that I read that much. I had set that goal early on in the year, and well, like right at the beginning of 2020, and the beginning of 2020 and the end of 2020 looked extremely different for me. I started off the year literally coming out of like a retail job, so I wasn't working, and then, you know, COVID hit and there was all this free time. I like I said, I wasn't working or anything, so I was like, okay, well, I mean, I have all this time to read, so, you know, it's not exactly, you know, there's no like shortage of time. But then as the year went on, obviously I got, you know, I started working again. I got involved with other things like Brown Girl Diary and Caribbean Collective, which you guys have definitely heard me mention before. Oh, and by the way, big shout out Brown Girl Diary right now. I'm wearing my Brown Girl Diary t-shirt. So I am absolutely loving this. I'm gonna link the merch in my bio as well for you, not bio, whatever, in the description for you guys, so you can check out the Brown Girl Diary merch if you haven't already. This is the t-shirt. I also have the tracksuit, which is really, really cute, and there's also like a crop long sleeve. There's some really cute stuff, so please go and check that out as well. But yeah, back to the reading goals. So I had set my reading goal last year and come really close, and I would have made it, but certain books that I read, like I forced myself through books that I didn't like, so they would take me like 3 weeks, even like a month. One had took me to finish, so that was all time that I really would have like gotten through more than one book. So it's whatever. I don't set reading goals as like something super rigid, like I have to stick to it, I have to do it, and, you know, beat myself up if I don't. I really just like to do it because I just find like I'm a person who, like, when I write things down and like jot down like a goal of some sort, it really helps me stick to it. And that's basically what, you know, having these reading goals does for me. So it's 2021 and I'm doing it again, my 50 book reading goal this year. Hoping that this year I'm able to hit that goal, but ultimately if I don't, I'm okay with that. I think reading goals can be really helpful if you, like me, are someone who needs to stay on track with things like that. So it might be worth giving a try if you haven't like set a reading goal for yourself before, but don't be so rigid about it to the point where you're like, if I don't hit the goal, like it's a failure. just have fun with it. Just set, if you really want to read a certain amount of books, just try to, like, you know, keep note of it and keep it in your mind throughout the year. Just as you're reading, you're like, yeah, I'm gonna hit that 30, 40, 50, but also be realistic with yourself too. So I just want to throw that out there as well. So we've talked about reading goals, we've talked about Brown Girl Diary merch. Now let's get into my December reads. The first book that I read in December was Tamarind Mango Woman, and this is a book of poetry, and it's written by Opal Adisa, and this was a book I actually borrowed from my boyfriend's mom a couple months ago, and I only now finished reading it. So at the, I had just come off of reading The Loss of El Dorado, which is so information packed, and honestly I just didn't have the capacity to sit down with like a full book, so I needed something just quick and light, and so I picked up this off the shelf, like, yeah, I'm gonna read this. Let me tell you guys, I really enjoyed this poetry book. So a lot of Opal's poetry is centered around womanhood, is centered around just the female connection and things of that sort. Poems they kind of rotate. Some of them are written with a more like Jamaican dialect in them, and then some of them are just written in like plain English. I really like the ones that are written with that like Jamaican dialect though, because it really makes you feel, it just gives you the Caribbean feels, and I love the vibe that it brings, and it feels very authentic. So those ones I really enjoyed. And there was a couple as well that she wrote that were more, love based, and I really was a fan of those too. They were really sweet, and I think she puts words together very well as well. This is my first time ever reading something by her, and I believe she does have a couple more books, so if I ever come across them in the future, I will definitely try to pick them up, because like I had just mentioned, I really enjoyed this book, and I would suggest if anyone's looking to start their year off with some poetry, try looking for some Caribbean poets, and this is a really good one if you are interested as well. So this was a 5 out of 5 for me. The second book that I read for the month of December was Home, and this is by Toni Morrison. So this is a very well-known book. I would imagine that a lot of you guys have probably at least heard of it, or if you haven't heard of the specific book, you probably know Toni Morrison. So I have a whole bunch of Toni Morrison books that I had picked up throughout last year, and I had read The Bluest Eye back in like April, and I was finally getting, when you have books packed away in your shelf and you forget that they were even there, this was a situation with this one. So I had saw it and I was like, yo, like I had this sitting on the shelf, what the hell? So I immediately was like, okay, let's do some Toni Morrison. Again, it wasn't a very long book, so it was something that I was able to read over a couple of days. The book follows a few characters, but our main character is Frank Money, and Frank had left his very small hometown and joined the army as a way to escape. He's been away for years. He was fighting in like Vietnam and stuff like that, and then he finally returns back to the States, where he's given a message that his younger sister is sick and needs him to return. So when we first meet Frank, he's having like a flashback from their childhood, and then it turns out that he's in like some sort of like mental hospital type of place. So something has happened to him to put him there, but he has no recollection of anything. But remembering this message that he has to go and help his sister, he breaks out of the institution and finds help from like a neighbor a few doors down, and basically ends up on his way back to his hometown that he had no desire to go back to, but really he was going back specifically for his sister. And alongside that, we get more information about their childhood and growing up with their very like strict grandparents. Their parents worked incredibly hard. They were poor, of course, and there was a lot of racism. Frank and his family were originally run out of their town that they lived in due to KKK coming and doing things to people, and just the neighborhood, and then they ended up moving in with the grandparents and so forth. So we follow Frank on his journey to get back to his sister. We also get to see his sister's point of view and find out what led up to her becoming ill, which is really crazy, what had happened to her. And then in the end, when they reunite, she's nursed back to health, and we see the whole dynamic between the two of them as they basically, come back together and be home. Which is really nice. And so it kind of goes without saying, but it was a Toni Morrison. It was a 5 out of 5. There's so much levels to this book. that it's kind of crazy. It's so much to even put into words, and I totally wouldn't want to spoil it for anybody, but I would highly recommend this one as well. Next book that I have, my third book, was a Christmas themed book, and I was reading this one a few days leading up to Christmas, and a couple days after Christmas was when I finished it. And this is called Christmas at Little Street Bakery. So guys, I can't get over this. This was the cutest book ever, and honestly I was so into it, and like just I loved it so much. So the book, the two main characters are Polly and her boyfriend Huckle. They live on Mount Colburn, which is a very like secluded area in England. It's kind of like a little island type place. They live in a lighthouse. They have a pet puffin, and Polly runs the bakery. So it sounds very cute, but there's levels to it going on. Polly and Huckle's best friends, so Reuben and Carenza, and you know there's levels. So Carenza has done something really not great, and it lands her in a lot of trouble, and she keeps a secret from Polly for a very long time. But then when Polly finds out this secret, and I don't want to spoil what the secret is because honestly you have to read it to get the full effect, but so Polly finds out, and then she has to keep the secret from Huckle, and that in itself creates tension. Alongside that, it's the holidays. Polly, you know, she works in the bakery, it's her bakery, and she's incredibly busy. There's so much for her to do, and she's very overwhelmed. And all she and Huckle want to do is have a quiet Christmas together, and it's the complete opposite. Things are so hectic. And alongside that, there is a story with Polly going on where, you know, she and Huckle are engaged, and Huckle wants to move forward and start a family and all those fun things, but Polly is very hesitant. And this kind of comes from the fact that she doesn't know her father. She's never met him at all. He was, you know, not in the picture since before she was born, and she really wants to know more about him, but her mother often is really like withholding that information. So that's like another stream of where the story goes. And it's so because of like the coziness of like this small cobblestone town and the lighthouse and everything, it's adorable, it's so cute. But then honestly there's a whole bunch of drama, there's a whole bunch of, you know, side storylines going on here, and like different things, and it was so nice, and I loved the way the book ended. It did end in a happy ending for everybody, so that was a huge relief. But this was also a 5 out of 5 for me. I really enjoyed this book. So if you guys want to read something Christmassy like this late, like, you know, this year, or you just want to, like, I don't know, you don't care if it's Christmas or not, you just want to read it, I would really recommend this. It was so cute, and honestly, like, it was a page turner, so yeah, I really recommend it. The final book that I read for 2020 was Late Blooms, and this is a book, it's technically supposed to be inspiration for seniors, but let me tell you guys, this is way more than inspiration for seniors. So this book is written by Janki Samaroo. I was really honored to have gotten to do a piece on Jean's work and writing for Caribbean Collective magazine, and that was how I got to connect with her, and she gifted me this book of hers that was, you know, her first book that she self-published. So Jean is absolutely amazing. She is 71, basically decided for her 70th birthday, her gift to herself, you know, wasn't something material, wasn't a party. She wanted to write, she wanted to publish a book, and she did so. So it's really amazing in that sense. She is an Indo-Caribbean author as well. She's Guyanese, and basically this is like a coffee table style book, and it includes a whole bunch of really inspirational writing. Jean is a blogger, and she often talks about life and aging, and those are the type of things that she has included in here, along with pieces of her art, and as well as other inspirational quotes that, you know, she felt matched the theme. So just off the bat, I want to show you guys kind of what like the book looks like. It's gorgeous in here, honestly it is. Like, look at that. So this is an example of one of the pages that has, you know, an entry from her blog, and then pictures. Some of them are, you know, like pictures and collages that she's done herself. and it was literally just, it was beautiful. It was really, really nice. And you know, stuff like this. There's poems as well, a couple poems in here. She does include a poem that she wrote, and some of the artwork and stuff like that. I really enjoyed this so much, and the thing is, there was a couple that really stood out to me. And the very first page in the book, the story or the piece that she had written was about like metamorphosis and just, you know, how we change throughout life, and just in comparison to, like, for example, like a butterfly, which starts off as a caterpillar and works its way, you know, into this beautiful butterfly. And then there was also a piece that she had written about our hands, and just basically talking about how, you know, our hands do so much in our lifetime, and they change so much. You know, the way my hands look right now at 24, in 30 years when I am 54 are not going to look the same. When I'm 74, they're not going to look the same. Our hands are just, yeah, they show a lot, and they've done so much, you know, like they're hands that have, she was saying, like, these are hands that have like helped other people, that have fed children, that have taken care of people and loved ones, that have created art, created whatever. And I thought it was so beautiful, and I like absolutely loved just the viewpoint that she has, and just the very outgoing and positive outlook she has on both life and aging. And I think it's really nice, because I find that in our society, you know, aging is always looked at or looked down upon, right? Like, people are always, you know, don't look old, go get fillers, don't look old, use this cream, don't look old. And it's like, aging is part of life whether we like it or not, you know what I mean? It's our next chapter, the same way from childhood to being a teenager is a chapter, from being a teenager to becoming like young adults, like, you know, proper adults, is another chapter in our lives. So we should basically embrace those things at every stage. And that was a big like theme that she talks about throughout this book, and I really enjoyed it. So it was a 5 out of 5 for me. I was not disappointed with anything that I read actually in December. So that is it for me today, guys. I thought honestly that this was gonna end up being a shorter video, but I guess not. I ended up, you know, adding a few more things to talk about, but I'm really excited to start doing more, and just, you know, I really hope to do a lot more on culture and stuff too as the year goes on, because that is something that I've heard from people that, you know, you guys have been reacting really well to when the times when I have spoken about things that are, you know, Indo-Caribbean culture related. So I will certainly be trying to cover more things of that sort. And of course, if there's any suggestions that you have or things that you might want me to talk about, feel free to comment and let me know. So like I said, that's it. I will see you guys next week in my next video. Bye.